Hello and welcome to the Wikipedia Weekly Network, here where Albin Larsson and I, Jan Ainali, are editing Wikidata Live. How are you doing, Albin?
I'm doing great. Can't usually say the nice thing I usually say about the weather, but other than that, it is all well. And I have actually had a bit of Wikidata editing earlier today because of that weather. So yeah, I still got more Wikidata energy for this, however. And you, Jan?
I'm doing great as well. Also having rain here, but also been doing some editing, both on the parliamentarian documents, but I've been looking into a little bit on maps as well.
Nice. So
yeah.
that's what you're doing today, Max?
Yes, I will be doing maps today. What are you gonna do?
I got really inspired by what you did last week and this graph image you used to explain some concepts. So I thought I would show how to do that with like the RDF of any Wikidata item and visualize that as graphs, which could maybe help people query. Some people like myself, you can sometimes see me opening just the RDF XML and reading that upside down, but that's not for everyone. And I'm going to try to show another way.
Nice. All right. So then let's get into it. See if I can share my screen here. No, that's your screen. Let me share my screen instead. There we go. So I was looking for things that like where are we missing maps? Where could we use maps? And I saw this is list of state level museums in Sweden. And I think that is a very nice thing to actually do a map of. And there are different kinds of ways to do this. And I want to show off a tool first, how we can do this like fairly quickly if we want to. And then we're going to do the sustainable way to do it. And let me first share this. Here is where we have the cartographer help. This is a page I return to a lot. This is this page. And what I'm going to try to do first is this simple thing. Oh, there. Where we just list the Wikidata items to show things. And the new thing now is that we can use points instead of geode shapes that we could been doing for a long time. So just list a number of points here. Of course, this is going to be static. So if someone is being stopped used, that's not going to work. But this could get me a map really quickly. So I'm going to just take this code here and go here and press edit. And let's see if I get to edit here. It's a little bit slow. It's because I have the preview here. We don't need that right now. This is the new feature. Yes, I know. Let's turn that off and paste in here. I'm going to do it a little bit. Sweden is long and tall. Maybe just 300 is going to be nice. Like that. But then the hard part is like, oh, how do I get all of this list? How do I get the Wikidata IDs for that? That's a lot of your work to do that. No, it's not. I think we have shown this a couple of times before. This is the tool, the linked items. So it looks like this. You specify which language version you're working on, and then you can either take the whole page, several pages, or just some wiki text. In this case, because I was in one section here, I'm just going to copy this and this entire section that was here previously and paste it into the wiki text field and say do it. And I got an item list. Very nice.
And really quick.
Really quick. So I'll copy all of these. And now, of course, you can see here, I want a comma-separated list. And I usually do this in my text editor, but I'm going to show you that actually the Wikidata query service is sort of have a few tricks up their sleeves as well. So let me paste all of these here, and you see, all right, and now what? Well, we have this neat little thing. You see my cursor here. It looks like normal, but when I press the Alt, it changes to a plus. And if I drag this now down here, can I drag it all the way? No,
I
could
think it's
not.
easier to start at the end and drag up.
Perhaps it is here. Yeah. I succeeded with this earlier. Is it because I draw? There we go. So now you see it blinks on all. So I have cursors, and if I press comma now, it makes a comma on every line. And if I press delete, there we have the list. So very, very neat little thing. And now I can just copy this by list. We go up to my example here, and I paste it here. I have to change the geo shape to points. And let's even do this new little feature here with the preview. Oh no, why? There's a comma in the end. Let's see, does that work? No. Oh, is it because it's no? What happened now? Let me do the big preview instead. Let me remove that. What does it say? It says something more here.
Oh, that's nice.
Is this new? I don't think I've seen this before.
No, it seems new.
Doesn't have a value in the geo shape, geo line, did I say geo points? Yes, I did. It should just be geo point. All right.
That's an error message that could be improved.
Yes. Now let's see, what do we get here? Takes a little while, but it seems to be working. But there we go. And now, of course, most of these are in Stockholm, so you actually have to zoom in to see that there are a number of them over here, very densely. But yeah, that's how you can quite quickly turn a list on Wikipedia into a static map in Cartographer. And that's all fun and games, but let's try to do this in a query now. Let's try to see if we can query for these and make that a Wikidata query so that it'll stay updated. If someone loses their status or if someone's get added, it will be picked up by the query. So let's move into the Wikidata query service and delete this
I think we are getting a new one next year that's opening.
Oh, nice.
The Jewish Museum. Or no, not the Jewish. It's the... I lost the name. We're getting a new one, at least.
Yes. So let's start by selecting something here. And we know that since the list was their state, we know that they're all also... now let's see. Figure out to do this correctly from the start. We need it to be an ID and not an item when we're going to do a cartographer. And we can call it title because that we could use as well. Where, let's see what we're going to query for.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to add the service here immediately. so I can see what I'm working with. We also know here that the double ones are going to cause us trouble. So I'm going to change those immediately. This is some Swedish Wikipedia. I'm going to use the Swedish label here. And I want this to be in the title here. So I'm going to say ID, RDFS, label, title. We'll go up there. That's some sort of prep work. And now let's see what we have here. We know ID, it's going to be a
museum
instance of, I think I'm going to go from, I don't think they're all museums, but I know that are all
no, that should not be the case.
Swedish government agency.
I hope this does not work.
You think?
Yeah, because the various museums aren't separate government agencies. Most of them are bundled together under
I'm coming
agencies.
to that.
Okay.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
And we have, let's move out of this so I don't accidentally save this. And what you're saying at these are not their own agencies, and that's correct.
Yeah.
And I think these are mostly modeled. We can look at this one and see how it is modeled. And we'll find the link to Wikidata in the left. Oh, moving targets. Too slow. All right. You can also do Alt-Shift-G, I think. Does it have to load first? Shift-Alt-G? Huh? Did not work. Oh, here we go. So I think these are modeled with haspart. So let's see if we can see that here. Yes, here we have hasparts. So these are modeled like this.
Neat.
So we could find them. So we know the top one is just, let's see up here as well what it does look like. Yes, so this one has Swedish government agency, and then the other ones are parts of this. So we want to find both of these levels.
Are all of them also part of the Ministry of Culture?
Underneath? Or all?
No, on the government agency level.
They should be, I think.
Because that would speed up the query a little, I think.
Yes. And if we just do this right now, we would get something around, I guess, 270 a little bit. Yes, so we get a lot of other things as well here that we don't want. So let's do what you said here and take, and is it parental?
I think they had
parent organization
as well. But maybe that one is
of culture. Oh, here we're going to have lots of Ministry of Culture. How can I find the Swedish one in here? Let me just see if I can grab this one. It'll be quicker. Oh, moving targets again. Loading. All right, let's see. So here. And now we should get a lot fewer. I have no idea how many this would be. 26. And here we have some museums. We do have some other things as well that we don't want to show. But we'll figure that out a little bit later. Now, since I also want the one with haspart, let's try to do that. And I want to show them would you post the map data code in the chat? We don't need all the points. Well, they all on the, I didn't change anything in the map data code. It's all on this page. You can find it in an example there under Wikidata ID. Yes. So I want to make a union here. So I'll enclose this.
Oh,
Just
Because
like
the government agencies that only have one museum are the same item?
yeah.
Oh, we should change that.
Or that in that case they are actually the state it's not that they have a museum. In that case they are the state government agency.
It depends. If the museum is... what is a museum? Is the museum... Yeah,
Yes, I don't want the
now...
buildings of the museums. I want the museum organizations.
Yeah, but is there a concept between the building and the government agency?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's not go too deep into that.
No. So I'll make a union here, and here I want this to be the same. So I'll copy this. Let me even do it like this, a little bit neater. But here I don't want the ID, but I'll call it a museum, and let's nice and easy here. What was it? Has part. There we go, and that's going to be the ID.
Right.
So let's see what we get now. Now we should get a little bit more than 26. We're still going to get a few false positives here, but we should get a more that are parts here. So let's see what we get when I run this. 56. So now we're getting a lot more others as well.
Because you're not filtering that anything is a museum yet.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the tricky part then. How can we say, for example, that how does this look? So this is the National Museum. That one is rather easy. Oh, this one does have that it is a museum.
That's annoying. Because that is the government agency, right? Or
yes.
It also says government agency, so it's not that particular museum.
Well, it depends on what you mean. What it is not a museum. I will say that the agency is the museum organization. It's not the museum building.
Yeah, but when they are different level, like in this case, there are 3 museums under this government agency.
Yeah.
Then I don't think you can say it's the same as one of them.
Let's have a look at the list again. So you're saying that this one should be the only one?
Yeah.
But I think this actually is the one right now. So this one should be split into the 2 things right now. This is just a redirect to the first one.
On Wikipedia, yes.
Yes. And I don't think we have an item for this thing right now.
Right. I think the item should be for that one, and we're missing one for...
Whereas here where they are different, here we have 5 different separate items.
Yeah, this is a great example.
Yeah, but let's have a look at this one. So this one doesn't say anything about being a museum. And the question is it a museum? Or is this just a parent organization?
Yeah, this is absolutely not a museum, in my opinion.
That might be the case. So the question is, do I want to list museums or do I want to list the things that are in this list? I think I want to list the things that are in this list.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a little bit odd here.
Yeah,
since
but it's a really good case for like, how do we model things?
Yeah.
It's actually a perfect case for this type of discussion. Like, we have this map we want to make. How do we structure the data?
Yeah. And the question is then, so I was thinking, can we add perhaps field of work on these? And if so, what would we do? I think what's common for all these is that they do something with the cultural heritage.
Yeah.
But that might also be the case for a few other things we had in this list. For example, the Swedish Cultural Heritage Board. So that wouldn't separate them either.
Yeah.
So somewhere we should probably have something with museums.
Yeah. And it could even be more narrow. I imagine like several of those museums are tamed somehow, or pretty much all of them.
Yes.
And then the field of work might be even more narrow.
Yes. And I think they should be, so we could ask for something like the type of museums or something like that. So I did a little bit of, let me open a new query here and just paste a thing, and we can talk that through from my little bit of research. So I was looking at, here are instance of and all subclasses of museums, and what field of work do they have. And then I try to count them up and see what are museums already being labeled as. And when we run this one, we see, well, most of them are cultural heritage, which is not a surprise at all, because that is mostly what museums are doing. And then we see, as you say, we have some more specialization. We are performing arts, contemporary arts, probably common type of museum, history museum, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we get down to, well, we always have the long tail.
Indeed.
So I would say we could start with saying that they're all working with cultural heritage, and then we could refine it over time. See, well, this is a very special part of the cultural heritage. Let's put contemporary art on this one.
Yeah, exactly. My next question is, from looking at this query, becomes, what is those cultural heritage tagged museums actually?
Yeah.
Like, if we would see a list of them, could we see in the name that they could have something more narrow? I imagine that's the case.
Yeah. Let's actually look at this list. So we have this list, 56 results. Let's see. Let's do an optional here and ask ID and field of work, well, P101, and call that for field. And let's see if they have any field labels. Perhaps some already do. And here's the quick trick, is to try to sort it on this column and first it and the other way. Oh, not a single one.
Yeah.
That's odd. I thought this one had one. Let's have a look. I'm missing something. What am I doing wrong here?
That's interesting. Oh, it's the label service. You have the label service just turn to return title.
Yes. So I can do here field.
Yeah, RDFS label.
I'm gonna need a point in here as well, where it will complain. That. Oh, yes. Oh, and I have it in Swedish. Let me switch it to English for a while here. And do we have anything else? Oh, we have 3.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. And we could see in this query that museum is not really a field of work. So that's not really, no one has been using it, I think. Or if it's in the long tail, it could be just an error.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
Yeah. So should I try to add cultural heritage to essentially this list? You think that's a good idea?
Mm, I'm not. I'm not sure. Um, I think it may be easier to, because some of them could also be done like in groups. For example, some of them under each government agency is actually tamed there. For example, we've got Transports Museum under one of them, and so
Mm-hmm.
on. So I think that might be easier to get it like narrow without needing to replace it and deal with that later on.
Ah,
Um, there we got
yes.
the World of Culture ones could all be tagged together. The defense museums, the transport museums, maybe the historical ones,
Maybe
questionable.
they're all cultural heritage anyway.
Yeah, they are, they are.
Yes.
But having to edit that later on,
Yeah.
yeah. But what something I would like to like see in a map like this now is
Mm-hmm.
that based on the type of museum, because we have a lot of, I don't think we have mentioned it, but we have a lot of new icons for maps,
Ah, yes.
and it
We
would be
mentioned
really
it
nice if
briefly
we could
last.
get the
Yeah.
icon for each type,
Yes. And
like
the way you would do that is in here. And when you do your query, what? Oh, there we go. Too far. Let's make a line break over here so that we see. Is we can add something here that would be called marker underscore. No, what was it? Marker
I
underscore
think it's
symbol.
underscore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like this, and then we could bind something depending. For example, here we could make bind if field label equals performing arts.
yeah.
Like that. Bind something, and do we have um, the icon set here in the top?
I think it's on a separate page somewhere. Yeah.
It might be linked here from the top somewhere. Here we have, see the full list of supported. It is updated. And Control F, perform. Oh, nothing performing arts.
No, I think they have more generic names.
I don't think this list has been updated, or has it?
I don't think the list above has been updated, but this one has been.
Here we have theater. Let's go with the theater. That sounds good.
That's really nice.
Where are we working? Here we are working. We'll add bind theater to it. If it's not, don't bind anything. Or we can just do general museum.
Yeah. And we could do this like in a values map even, and have it done without if statements. Missing a parenthesis at the end?
Yes. I don't find it as anything.
Oh.
That. There we go. And then we'll see what did I?
Yeah, it won't match because it's a tagged language literal. So if you do @en at the end, it should match.
Here or there?
Yeah. No, the first there.
So @en.
That might do it. Let's see.
Yes, it did. There we go. So that's how we would do it. And then you can take all of this into adding it to the map. But I think before I'm doing that, I'm actually going to do, and that's going to be my homework here. I'm going to go through all the items from this list and tag them properly so that I can actually query for them. It's going to take a little bit more time than we have for
but it's
here
gonna
now.
be super cool in the end, especially if you do this with the icons. We can have the train museum having a small train, and
Yes,
all of that kind of
yes,
things. Oh,
yes, exactly. All right. So that was my things for today. So a little bit of maps and how you can think when you query, and also this little neat trick where you can actually do. One thing I was almost about to do is when you have a list of this, is if you want to quickly style it for your quick statements, you can do the same
yeah.
trick here, and you can hold W. No, you don't even need that. But if you would to need this for your values in something, you could hold the Alt, drag them all the way down, and then you could write PD colon, and you get them ready for putting into a values statement in the query service.
Indeed, you just wrap it around, right? And it should work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could go up here something like values
Yeah.
museums, and then I think you need one in end as well,
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
this.
That's very neat.
All right.
Great. I'm gonna start off on some Wikidata item here, because I mainly want to focus on like how to look at the RDF modeling of items rather than um, the modeling on Wikidata, so to say. And I thought we might go to my page on glaciers. That's a good start for various kind of things. Least common properties used on glaciers. Let's see if we have something that actually returns a glacier. Um, I want something with few statements. It's gonna be here. I have got glacier with most statements here. Let's see if we can just change this to have the least statements. Yeah, we should just ask. That should be it, right? I hope so. Yeah. Okay, one is a little too little. Let's have two statements. Let's not. Let's hope we don't have 100 with only one. No. Okay, here's a glacier. And something one often see me do when I try to work on an item and really tries to figure out the SparkQL behind it, and I'm just not getting anywhere. I don't know it in my head. I usually go to a page like this. I copy the URI, not the URL, and add RDF to the end. So I can actually like see what can I query for. I can query for the RDF type, the schema about, and so on. But this can be really hard to read, even for me. And Jan had this graph last week where it clearly showed like how do these things in general are connected. And I very often when I work with like RDF modeling on its own rather than just writing queries, I use this great tool. I'm gonna make sure you see the link here. In an RDF editor called Sketch, and here I used write RDF was various types. Now it's gonna get warnings because I don't have fix, but anyway, I can get the visual representation. And that's how I do data modeling when I need to work on that. But this can also be used to like visualize existing data. So I'm gonna pick this RDF here, for that glacier. And there's like, this had 2 statements in Wikidata, but it has this bunch of things here. It's connected to like the Wikipedia article. There's some generic things about the Wikidata item, like how many statements do it have. So let's see if we can't visualize it. I'm gonna paste it in here. And by default, it's gonna say invalid because the default format is turtle, which is great for a lot of things, but it's not what we're using here. We're using application RDF plus XML. I'm gonna click that, and I still get an error. Now the error is gone. But we do not have a, no, now the error is back. Okay, so it complains over something in this XML. Let's see, it complains for the blank notes here. Let's do another trick. I have a backup plan. I usually don't use RDF XML here. We're gonna head over to another tool. Let me converter. So let's try to convert this to turtle and see if we can render the graph there. I haven't been there in this. Okay, it looks like this. We use it to translate between various formats of RDF. I'm pasting in that XML. I'm gonna here state that it is RDF XML, and I add one turtle in the end. So let's see. Then it seemed to work. It appears to be valid, so I'm gonna copy the contents here. And this is actually quite interesting on its own, because to some of you this is already more readable. Like here is what we currently usually have on the Wikidata item. We got the various statements that we can query for, and so on, and the RDFS label that Jan showed earlier. So let's take this into the sketch tool. So now we're of course getting an error because I need to change back to turtle here. Oh, and now it works. So it worked with turtle. We needed to take this slightly longer route through the converter today, but other than that, it works. So let's scroll out here. We can actually see that the graph is rather big. And if I hover over certain things, I hope it shows quite well, but we can see there are lines between this. Here is one. And we can hover over this and see where it goes. Now, I'm on a little bit small screen for this, especially when it's shared, but generally we can follow this. So let's actually try it. So this is the type we're usually querying for. I would like to see a couple of other things in here. So let's double check this square against what we got here. We are doing things about the entity. No, that's a different queue item. It's the linked item. Let's see. That's the generic glacier item, which is also here in the graph. Oh, this came with a little bit more than I expected. Here is the property. Here is the data set. Here is the p instance of property. Can I search here? Entity, let's see, the QID should end with 05. That's the special entity data. Then let's see, it's about, then I should be able to follow this. And here it is, okay. So the special entity is about the item. So now we can actually look at this and start querying. There are a couple of things here which the converter did. It didn't recognize the Wikidata namespaces. So I think this is VDT. Oh, let's not go down that route because I could replace all of this and it would be more clear than we usually query for, but let's skip that for now. It's a little sad that the tool didn't pick those up. But let's try to see how we can use this. So if I just, oh, I'm gonna copy it from here. Let's say we want to ask question about this Wikidata item. Let's start a new query. Oops. Select star where I forgot something. And to make it match just the file, I'm not gonna use the VD prefix here. I'm gonna write it all out and then let's see what we got to work with. We can see on this that we should be able to query for the RDF type, the namespace 1, which is prop direct, and the namespace 2, which gives us this entire statement, and the school's press label, and schema name. Let's take the schema name for once because we never use it because it's the same as the RDF label.
I think I used it once when we were using the API.
Oh.
Because that is a time where it might actually matter.
When we use the API?
So when the label and the name. No, that was the name of the article. Yes.
Yeah. Then I think we all no. Then we might have all of them as well.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We should just get the name of this particular one. It should just be we got none. Why? I can clearly see here we got schema name. Could it be that this isn't even in the index? That happens too. There's a way we can check everything that's actually in here. We can do it like this. We can say prop. And then we get two. We got like everything that's about it. And this is interesting because we only got the RDF label in here actually. So I guess I don't think this used to be this way, but I imagine it's because not to have duplicated data in the SparkL service, they just make sure they only get one of this because these ones are always the same, which makes a lot of sense. So we can't look at this like the source of truth, but I think if we would compare this now to what we got here, it still doesn't match. We still got the Wikibase ones, which is weird because those should be on different items. I believe. Or are they special ones that are hidden in here? Ah, they might be hidden in here. Doing it this way reveals a lot about the magic that goes behind the scenes. But here you can see that here we are on the special entity data URI. And here I got the statements, the site links, and identifiers. But I do not have them on the item in the actual graph. So why doesn't the graph match? Spooky. This is to me unexpected. So these ones are all on the entity URI, and these ones are all on the dataset URI. So I guess they merge it in the. Here we also got the date modified, but that might just not be indexed. Same with the CC license, which is always the same. That's really interesting. And we we know that we do not have the schema about either. I guess we got a different model going in on here. That's interesting. I would love to see some documentation on this. Let's take another part of it. Let's see. Yeah, at least we can. Let's see what. We will need a more complex item to show off some of those relationships where, like, how do references look like and things like that. So I'm gonna find a better item. PDT. I'm gonna take the Helix class here, and let's get the RDF for that one. There we go. Gonna copy it. Gonna head over here to converter. Paste it in. Submit. We got a lot more data already. And I'm gonna sheet. I think I can click on raw output here. Oh no, it made it download. I hoped it would open in a new tab. Then I'm gonna do some scrolling to select it instead. Oh, still not at the end. Let's see. No. Okay. We're doing it the quick way from the bottom.
Very long.
Yes. I need it to speed up. Okay. My browser doesn't like that either while I'm streaming. I'm gonna open that file I downloaded in the background there. Control A, Control copy, and then let's hope that this tool doesn't complain over the extent. So it hangs a little for now. But I think it rendered it, yeah. So here's the graph. It still doesn't really show the connections well. I can't imagine it renders very well over the stream. But there are small lines in between things here that we can follow to see the model. So I was hoping to, yeah. So here, for example, is a good example of the data type, I believe, and the various values. And this is directly one of those cases where it could be really useful to how does this value connect? We can see a connection up here to whatever it's connected to. So in this case, it's connected to this, which is the statement. And here it rendered quite well, actually. If I just hover here, it shows all of these things that are not a value on its own, but is connected to something. And that we can like query in the SparkHealth service at some end. So, for example, if I would be debugging something in the query service about how does references work, I could use this tool to actually look up how is this particular URL, which I would like to access, connected to the upstream statement. Now let's see, can I get it to show there? And then I can see it's derived from it was connected to, and that's connected to the reference. If I would like to query for it. And now we could see it isn't that simple. And this might explain some of my headaches with the RDF XML. Because they remove some things to avoid duplicates.
Would it be nice to have a view like this as a third tab on or a new tab on the item? Or like on Wikidata, and you could just switch to tab and see it in a different, like it's the same data but in a different view.
Yeah, indeed. So it makes me wonder if we could actually achieve something like that with something like this. Like if I would just switch this, can I switch this to graph directly? I think so. So let's see, which is the, oh, I have new connections here. Oh, that should give me connections, right? Okay, let me.
Do you have to actually select them to get the connections? You have the star there. If you go with PNS.
Maybe that's it. And graph. Or it's not recognizing it because it's RDF graphs and not Wikidata connections. Anyway, I wonder if we could actually use the query service to do something like that. Like it's not that different from like, yeah, maybe even something basic like this would be more helpful if you could open it and you essentially have this embedded. Like, so I think we can do something like, let's see, values, and we just have a single value in here. And then do item. I think this is enough to render a graph. I should really use that shortcut to always get a graph. And having it like being popped up like this by default could really be helpful. But then I wonder if one could, it would be nice if you had like a mode where you could switch then. So instead of saying instance off, it would actually say VDT P31. And you imagine having two tabs here and you can say, show me the label of the property or the RDF path. That would be really useful for querying. But just having a tab would show something like this would be an interesting concept. And it wouldn't even need to use the SparkQL service to achieve it either. That's an interesting point. It might be a very educational view as well compared to what we currently got. On the other hand, on big items, it would be terrifying. We could like say Q2 here, and then click the graph, and let's. Oh, it's not. It seems that it's little. Isn't it more than this? Or how? Yeah, okay, it's hide multiply into this one, so here we got something with 28. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
it would quickly get complex. But it's generally performing well. Now I think it hanged, but
try Q42.
Yeah. That's more. That's more. And let's pick someone. We got a 7 here. So let's open up that before going back. Oh, it's still manageable. Ah, that's a really good idea for a user script, I believe. Especially for like when you maybe have a Wikidata workshop for beginners or something like that. Just giving this as an alternative view could be really helpful to explain what's going on. Ah, now I got a hackathon project on. As if I did not have other things to do, I would like to say.
Sorry.
No, Jan and I was just chatting yesterday about maps, And then I was also like, yeah, I should look into how to fix that. It shouldn't be that hard. And then my list just becomes longer and longer. But yeah, so that's also a neat way to do it. Um, this is how I usually read like RDF. And when you see me really struggling with SparkQL and I look at this, then I'm looking for things like should look more like this, and this is what it should look like in my brain. But it's not a one-to-one mapping with the SparkQL service we discovered. But this is still a incredibly useful tool that I use almost every day in when I work. So this RDF editor and sketch tool, highly recommend it. We have it in a banner. And that was what I wanted to show.
Yep.
If
So it's the sketchzazuko.com was one of them, and the other one was the
yeah,
easydf.org/converter.
yeah, two great tools if you don't have things like that on your command line, so to say. And yeah, a bit of inspiration as well to how to make this even better, I believe. But yeah, that's a bit behind the scenes of my thinking.
That's very nice. I think that could be, I think, like the same like last time I was talking about the how you can think about querying it. This is how it's actually is being
Yeah,
stored,
yeah,
getting the
exactly.
complete picture of it.
Yeah, and realizing like the difference here from how it's in the RDF from how it's in the SparkL service, it only like convinces me more that we need something that actually shows what's behind the SparkQL query and teaches people like even that what do I have
Yeah.
access to, what can I actually do. Because if you really understand how that graph underlying graph looks like, the SparkQL becomes much easier, and um, you don't need to do as much guessing or auto completion or things like that.
Yes.
So we have an opportunity for new tools here to improve the situation.
Sweet. And I think we will be back as normal next week. And then the week after that is when Wikidata turns 10. So I'm pretty sure we're going to do something special. We haven't
Yeah,
planned anything yet, but we
yeah, it's good
we
that you
almost need to
remind me.
do
I
it.
should talk to you about an ID.
Great. Let's talk about that. But if you have any other idea what we should do next week, just ping us somewhere on the internets or our user pages, and we'll happy to see what we can do with that,
Yeah,
if we understand it ourselves.
even if we don't, we try
Yeah,
to learn new things here live as well to show you
exactly.
the reality
Yeah,
of learning new things.
yeah. The museums are the buildings or are the organizations, and how should we do it? Yes, that's uh, almost like an evergreen. With
Indeed.
yeah, and that goes also for many companies and other things that are usually in buildings. It's easily to
Yeah.
get those two mixed up.
Yeah.
But then, until next week, happy
Happy
editing.
editing.